Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Ellen with Out of the Box Technology. I hope you can see my screen. You should be able to see 10 ways to supercharge your cash flow. That's the topic of our Technology Tuesdays today. And I'm going to ask our presenter, Mike. You can see my screen, correct?
Everybody else is, I have a looking good.
Awesome. Good. We're off to a great start. This is so good. I am your presenter. That's me. I've been with Out of the Box Technology for a long time, working with Lisa and the rest of the crew. Jennifer Darachuk, who's part of our marketing team, she's the gal who usually does these Technology Tuesdays. She asked me to host today for her. She had something come up. So I said, sure, these are fun to do, and just be patient because you got the B team here. So you got an awesome presenter, but we got your moderator is on the B team here. But we'll be good. We will be good. And just in case you don't know what Out of the Box Technology does, our core is QuickBooks training, integration, setup. You can buy the software from us at great pricing. We do bookkeeping, we do website design, custom app development, data migrations. If you want to move off of Peachtree to QuickBooks, we do that. So if it touches QuickBooks, we do it. So be sure to always ask us if you have questions about QuickBooks and say, hey, do you guys do such and such? And we'll do it. So here's our presenter. Here's Mike, Cash Flow Mike. We've known Mike for a long time. Awesome presenter. Really, Mike, we have. And we have, he's got tons of awesome topics for business owners, and this is just one of them. So we're really glad you're here to get his insight on cash flow. And we just want to remind you, too, again, that participants, you can earn up to 1 CPE credit. And here's the details here. You'll earn 1 CPE credit for each 50 minutes of attendance. We do have 3 polling questions. You have to complete them in order to get your CPE credit. After the webinar, Jennifer will get a hold of you if that's what you're interested in, but you have to make sure that you answer the polling questions. Field of study today, computer software and applications. And there's no prerequisite for this particular class. Here's our learning objectives today. This is what Mike's going to talk to you about. We're going to identify 10 places to look for cash flow problems, how to get more out of your business, calculate how much cash is leaking from your business. Ooh, that's going to be good to find out. And then you're going to learn a method of communicating financial issues with your clients so that you can strengthen your position as a necessary advisor to their particular company. So we'll get to these questions after because we hope you have a lot of them, but I'm going to send you over to Mike now. He's going to start the presentation. Let's change presenters. Mike, here you go.
Great, and we didn't practice this, so I hope I do this correctly. Let's see here, show my screen, but I want to show.
There you go.
Are we getting there?
Yep, I see you. I see you in 2 places there.
All right, I just need to open up the presentation, and we are going to be great and good. Somehow it's spinning, not responding. That's exactly why you practice, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I see that. We could, probably because of the GoToWebinar might be slowing it down a little bit.
Oh.
But
there we go.
There we go. Now it's going.
Good. Hey, are we good? Are we good?
Good.
All right, hey. This is Cash Flow Mike, and we're going to talk about 10 ways to improve cash flow. Now, I'm doing something different. This is a first, right? This is a first, so if you see me present before from a webinar or otherwise, I'm going to do this standing up, right? So standing up, which means I bought this elevated stand. I got it standing up because I like to be animated. I like to talk through it, and sometimes I feel confined sitting in the chair. Now, so we're going to talk about 10 ways to improve cash flow. They call me Cash Flow Mike. We already talked about the learning objectives, 10 places to look for cash flow problems, a couple of different formulas. If you know me, I like to teach the math side of things. I like to give you something to go home and do tonight, right? So you're going to learn a couple different formulas to use in your business today. And then more importantly, if you're an advisor, if you're, working with small businesses, I like to be able to give you ways to talk to small business owners in a way that they understand, right? That's kind of what I like to do, because again, I'm in the middle of building my 12th company. I like to talk to people at the level that they're at in their financial sophistication. More importantly, I like to help you do the same. So here's how it all started. Now here's they call you Cash Flow Mike. They give you the great nickname, and they say, hey, go talk about cash flow, and that's what I do. But here's my problem. When you look on the internet, when you start to Google for ways to improve cash flow, it's always the same old stuff. And first of all, I want to point out that there are 65 million results. When I say ways to improve cash flow, there's 65 million different ways or articles or references out there, and I get overwhelmed. And if you're like me, I look at the first page, maybe the second page, almost rarely the third page. But for you, you know what I did? 5 pages deep. I went 5 deep to see what's out there, to dig for the little hidden treasures, and guess what I found? Yeah, same old stuff. It doesn't matter how many pages deep I went, it was the same old stuff, and it's these top 10. If you were expecting to get these top 10 in my class today or my webinar today, you're going to be disappointed, because that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to look outside the box, all right? Let's not just go for the top 10s. Of course, I can collect faster, I can pay sooner, I can do those type of things. I can just improve inventory. Let's get to something more specific, something I can do in my business today that actually helps it. Because if you look like me, here's what I look like after 5 pages of Google results, right? Oh, and I don't want to do that for you guys, right? I don't want to have you head in your hands, wondering what to do next. So let me give you 10 things to think about and do. Before we get there, Ellen, I think this is for CPE. Let's do some polling questions. How about the first one?
Yes, sir. Here we go. Okay.
And I don't know if I have to do something. Oh, poll open. There we go. Give them
Got
about
it?
a minute. Yeah, I think it's open. Organizer must close the poll to enable screen sharing. So whenever you're done,
Yes.
I think it comes back to me.
You'll get it back. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. So again, the poll question, how often do you think about ways to improve your business's cash flow? Boy, I know what I would say, but I'm not going to give out any clues here. So we'll give people a few minutes here to.
Okay. Now, on the next couple, I think we'll do that. I'll just turn it over to you. You can explain what the question
No,
is.
Mike, you don't have to. You don't have to send it over to me. The poll, I just hit the poll, and then when I close it, it'll come back to you. So it should come back to you here. So.
Awesome.
Oh, we still have people putting in their answers here. You got just a little bit. Oh, we're right about at a minute here. So. Okay, I'm going to turn this up, but then let's go. I can tell you what, I'm going to close the poll here.
How'd it come out?
Okay, so there you go, Mike. So let me just tell you that you want me to share the results with you real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay, so 56% say when things start to get a little tight is when they start thinking about cash flow, and only 33%. It keeps me awake at night. Man, it would me if I were a business owner. But so that's the result of the first poll.
Hey, you know what? Interesting about that. 56% of people think about it when things start to get tight. Now, let me put this analogy in your head, and this is why I'm so adamant about it. Is that let's pretend you're at a street corner, right? You want to cross the street. This is your business. You're just trying to get across the street. You're just trying to do the next thing, whatever that is. When you're looking at it, cash flow that is, when things get tight, it's the same thing as stepping out of the street and getting hit by the bus because you didn't see it coming, right? It was just there. I want you to think about it when it's not tight, when you're already in your business and maybe things are going well. The difference is, did I just step out in front of the bus and not see it coming? Or did I see it coming from 2 blocks away and now I got options, right? The quicker you see it, the quicker that you see things developing in your business, the more options you have. The longer you wait, you close some windows on some options that you could take or some levers you could pull to improve your cash flow position. So it's good we saw that, but think about it as the difference between walking out in front of the bus or If you see it coming, do I walk out? Do I run across? Do I not go at all? I've got options. So, hey, thanks, Ellen. That was good.
Sure.
All right. Now it's the top 10, all right? I mean, I grew up on the Late Show or whatever, David Letterman, he always did his top 10. I'm kind of, putting it in that form and fashion. This is the top 10 ways to supercharge cash flow in your business. So here's number one. Maybe. Used to be number one. Oh, there it is. It just took a second. So number one, I want you to leverage buying psychology, right? And you're like going, oh my God, where did that come from, right? We were talking about inventory, collecting faster, paid up, but I'm saying leverage buying psychology because it happens to you in the way you buy every single day. You can employ this in your business the same way. And let me give you a few examples, right? The first one is this sandwich. First of all, it's a Burger King sandwich, right? It's Burger King. And Burger King was known for the Whopper, right? When you go to there, they say, hey, it's the home of the Whopper. So what sandwich do you think they want you to buy? Well, it's the Whopper, of course. So if that's what they want you to buy, they dictate and try to direct you towards buying the Whopper with everything they do, from the crowns on your head to the advertising they have. It's the home of the Whopper. Now, here's an interesting story about Burger King. Burger King was the first fast food restaurant to introduce the dollar menu, right? Combos were already out there. They were already doing things like that, but it's the dollar menu where now I can give you a smaller option for a cheaper price. And one of the sandwiches that they put on the dollar menu, you guys remember? Yeah, it's the Whopper Junior. So now they have the Whopper, and then they got a smaller version of it called the Whopper Junior. But all in all, it's the same sandwich. You got buns, you got patties, you got secret sauce, and it's all the same, just garden stuff. Here's what happened in the first 90 days with the Whopper Junior. As soon as people came in, their buying experience looked like this. They're looking at the menu board. Whopper, $3.69. Whopper Junior, $1. I'll take 2 Whopper Juniors. That's kind of how we were all buying it, is that we would bypass the bigger sandwich for the 2 Whopper Juniors, which still give me a good enough amount of food. But now Burger King only received $2 as opposed to $3.69. It killed gross profit in the first quarter. I mean, they just saw it plummet. Why? Because consumers were choosing the cheaper option for about the same amount of food. How did they fix it, right? And everybody goes to, oh, well, they just raised the price. No, not at first. Oh, well, they added other things in. No, not at all. They changed it, made the burger smaller. All of that stuff, they already had inventory. They already had the buns. They already had the patties. They didn't make any of those changes. All they did was introduce it to you differently. That's right. They took the menu board and says, well, we already have patties. We already have buns. We already have garden stuff. Let's create a third option. And that third option was, the double whop whop, the double Whopper. It's like a bomb that sits in your belly. I mean, I'm telling you, they don't care if anybody buys one. I'm convinced that they don't care. Matter of fact, I'm probably the only one that has, right? And again, it sits like a bomb in my belly, and it makes me just shrink in my seat. They don't care because the way we buy is the way things look, right? It's the psychology of buying. So when I'm now sitting at the menu board and I've got 3 options in front of me, I've got the double Whopper, I've got the Whopper, and now I have the Whopper Junior. That one seems too small. The double Whopper seems too big. I'll pick you guessed it, the Whopper, right? We kind of buy towards the middle. They're directing you to the one they want you to buy. Why? Because they make the most gross profit on that sandwich. It's the same thing in any restaurant. If you look at the restaurant menus, on the left-hand side, as we read left to right, about a third of the way down, there's a box, and it always says house special or famous for or chef special. Well, that's also one of their highest gross profit margin items. The psychology is to direct your eyes towards what they want you to buy. So if you're thinking about that in your business, what is it that you can do where you can direct, your customers towards the item you want them to buy? Let me give you a couple more examples. Helps you, get your brain going. The other one is the first time buyer's discount. Why is it now? Come on, think about that. I've bought more cars than most of these people. I bought 10. They're buying their first one, never bought one before, and they get a discount and I don't. Doesn't seem fair. So why is it that they get a discount, right? Well, you have to look at the psychology behind car sales. You're like, well, they get a discount to get your loyalty, to get your brand loyalty. I mean, really? I'm going to go back and buy another car because you gave me a one-time discount of $500? That's not really what it is, right? I don't, I don't get it the second time, so you don't get my loyalty because I'm not a first-time buyer anymore. So what is it about that discount that actually helps the car dealers? Well, if you look at every single car that's made, they all have about the same features, right? They got the steering wheels, they got the radios, they got some type of air conditioning, you know, even if it's just a vent and not the actual air conditioning. Windows go up and down, whether you roll them or you got the power windows, you know. But if you notice, every single manufacturer does it just a little bit differently, right? They just have, you know, some of them have sliders, some of them have knobs, some of them got buttons that you push. They're all just a little bit different. Why? Because you get used to it. You know, if you buy our car for the first time, you're sitting in a Ford, you buy that Ford and you sit there for 3 to 5 years, you get used to it. You know where everything is. You know where the cruise control is. You know where the hazard button is. Here's how I know it works. Have you ever rented a car? Here's me last week renting a car. I rented a 2020 Lincoln. When I rented it, it took me 90 seconds to figure out how to put it in gear. That's right. I love the car. I love the way it looked, felt. I was really happy and excited to go out and actually drive this car, but I couldn't even put it in gear. Why? Go look. You don't have to take my word for it. Go look at how they have the transmission set up. You expect it to be on the column, you know, the steering column, or you expect it to be in the center console. No, it's a push button by one of the vents up on the dash. Yeah, I'm not looking there to put the car in reverse. So it's one of those things where other things feel uncomfortable. If I'm shopping around and I'm looking at other cars, I get used to the way my car is. Every other car just feels a little weird. So I'm more likely to go back to what I think is comfortable than buy something I think is weird where I got to relearn it. So that's why they have the first time buyer's discount. How about another one? Again, I'm going back to fast food. I must be on a fast food kick. You know, I've got back into the gym, trying to lose some weight, but I'm still thinking about fast food. This is the McDonald's drive-through window, right, or the menu. And if you haven't noticed it, take a look next. It's not a full menu, right? Not every item, when you go into the counter, not every item is there. Why, right? Well, because they want to direct your eyes to things they want you to buy. The ones that they leave off are the ones that take the longest to prepare. This is a drive-through. They want it to be fast. If you don't see it, chances are you're not going to buy it. And if you don't buy it, they don't have to make it, and it makes the drive-through faster. That doesn't mean you can't order, you know, that doesn't mean you can't order it all through the drive-through. But if you don't see it, chances are you won't. So they leave things off to make it more efficient. There's probably something in your business, you're like, well, hey, I like it when people buy this, but they buy it too often, and it really slows down my process or my progress. Make it to where, you know, it takes a little bit of effort, and they'll buy less of that and more of what you want them to buy. Such as, I mean, like I used to own bars and restaurants. The table tent, the thing you put on the table, that actually increases sales. Why? Because I see it. I see the little table tent that says, hey, try one of our margaritas. And what we've done is make a pitcher of margaritas or a big bucket of margaritas in the back, and we're just pouring it off. Why? Because it takes very few seconds. It's already made. I just pour it into a glass and give it to you. And the only reason you ordered it is you saw the table tent. So leverage the psychology of buying, because people buy based on what we see, what we feel. All right, that's number one. That took a long time to go through number one. So let's look at number two, right? Number two, something a little bit different. Number two is bundling to move a product, right? And I go, oh, well, that sounds natural. We all have products or even services where we have our bestseller, the thing that people always buy from us, and then we have the one that they don't buy as often, but we wish they would. Find ways to bundle the two products together, and you'll not only increase the value per customer, where they would only buy one, now they're buying two, but you'll also move some of your slower moving inventory products. Let me give you some examples I see every day, right? You may have seen this one in a store. You've got the hat bundled with a t-shirt. That's right. Some people go in there and says, oh man, I want the t-shirt, but I don't want the hat. Well, here's the thing. T-shirt will cost you $10, but for $14, you get the hat and the T-shirt. So I get that extra $4 and I'm selling the hat that they don't normally sell as often. So I'm bundling those two together, right? Where I'm selling more of both products. And my average price per customer or dollar revenue per customer goes from 10 to 14 in one transaction. Second way, we see this as well. You see this one, if you use a computer at all, you see this box, right? That's from Amazon. When you buy something or when you're looking at something, they're giving you examples of what, hey, you know what other people do? They're giving you social proof of what other people buy, right? Hey, you bought this, you might need these things. And you might not need those things, but you're thinking, if I buy this, I might need that. If I don't have this, then something's not going to work right. And I added to it just because they're telling me that that's what other people do. They're giving me that social proof, right? So, I mean, that's another way to increase. So you go from a total price of maybe $3 purchase to a $25 purchase just by adding in the other things that other people buy with it. Now, here's another one. You know, I'm seeing this more and more in college education. Not that. The next one after that. But that was funny too. This is more in airports and college education. This is the beer in a shot, right? I thought it was in the other order. The beer in the shot. Now, the beer in the shot is what you see in an airport bar. You go in there and say, hey, you order a beer, and they go, hey, would you like a shot for $4? Well, why is that? Beer is a high-moving product. I mean, people buy a lot more of that than they do the liquor. But it's also low gross profit margin, which means you don't make as much cash, as much money on it. Liquor is a high profit margin product, right? I make more money on every liquor shot. So if I can take you from a $10 beer to a $14 or $15 purchase with an extra shot on the side, again, I move up your average value of your ticket, and I'm selling more of my slower moving products. So that beer and a shot is another way to bundle it together. Now here's the college one I was talking about, where they're taking actual textbooks and partnering it with extra software, right? The goal ultimately is to move you off of a textbook and just get you into software, which is, text reading, digital ebooks. But the way they're doing it is with additional help. Here's the textbook, but here's the supplemental, digital product that goes with it. More tests, more quizzes, more articles, more ways to learn. And they're selling it in either a bundle, like I'm showing here, or they sell it in a subscription where for $9 or $10 a month, you get regular tutorial help on the classes that you're taking. So they're bundling it even in the colleges right now to move the slower moving product where people aren't buying the digital as much as they are a textbook, but they're putting them together to eventually move the whole industry into digital. Okay, here's the last one. You're saying, yep, these are all products, Mike. I get it. You can always bundle products. What about my service? Here's one I saw not too long ago. How about carpet cleaning, right? It's easy for us to say, okay, $100 a room, you're coming in there, but I don't normally call somebody and say, I need my couch or my chair already clean. I don't need it. Unless there's an accident in the house, I don't need you to come in and just clean the couch or the chair. But I'm more likely to make the purchase if you're already there to clean the carpet. I'm saying, yeah, why don't you hit that couch for that extra $30? Or why don't you hit that chair for $20? It's easy to bundle it on when I'm already there. I can bundle in the extra services, whether it's carpet cleaning, whether it's landscaping, whatever your service is, your slower moving or the ones that people don't call you for, you can add on and increase the value of that sale. So find ways to have that coupon ready or that special ready when people call in, and you'll increase the value of the customer. You want to supercharge cash flow, get more dollars per customer. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, number three, and we're moving right along. For some reason, I think it's GoToMeeting locks me up every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can. It does.
That's weird because now it's PowerPoint. Well, number three is going to be something awesome. Oh, there it is. There it is. See, it's like a burp in the. All right, number three, we're talking about carrying the right amount of inventory, right? Now you say, oh, Mike, you weren't going to do one of the usual suspects. I'm not. I'm going to teach you some math behind it right now. You can say, oh, just carry the right amount of inventory or right size your inventory. I was working with a tire dealer in Wasilla, Alaska. Right? If you haven't been there, I hear you can see Russia from there. Political joke, right? Bring that back. But if you ever work with a small business owner and you go to their place of business, they want to take you on a tour, right? And they say, hey, come here and check it out. So if you go to a tire dealership, you've been to one maybe as a customer where they got kind of the office waiting area up front, and maybe some bays next door, and then out back is where kind of a warehouse is. They've got some tires back there where they have some spare parts, or whatever it is that they need to run their business is kind of out just right behind the bays. So when I went back behind the bays, there's all these tires, and I'm not jazzed up by tires at all. But there was one set that caught my eye, and they were 3 times as wide as I was and taller than I am. So huge, like earth mover type tires, right? Think of those big pieces of equipment, that's what it is. And I said, oh my God, man, those are huge. How much does those cost? He says they're $3,500 and we sell them for $7,000. That's a heck of a tire investment, right? $3,500. And I start to count them up. 2, 4, 6, 10, 15. 15 of these tires sitting in his warehouse. 15 times $3,500, $50,000 sitting on the shelf. I said, oh, $50,000 sitting on the shelf. How many of these do you sell a month? He said, I don't know, 3, 4, sometimes 5. So between 3 and 5. I'm going, 3 and 5, why do you have 15? He goes, well, don't want to have a run on them and run out, right? We love our inventory. We feel comfortable when we see a lot of inventory, but it's also dollars sitting on the shelf. So how do you right size it? How do you know what's right? Well, you have to use the items on hand formula, right, to be able to calculate that up. Here's a simple way. Now, if you have 1,000 of these, 1,000 items, you've got to calculate this for 1,000 items. And I have an inventory master spreadsheet that I built that I can do it with. But an items on hand formula, what you're basically going to do is you take your average number of sales per month. He just told me he sells between 3 and 5, right? So if we say, hey, well, if you sold 5 a month, we never want you to run out. But if you're selling 5 a month, let's work with that number. But you're going to divide your average number of sales per month by how often can you get it, right? In this case, he could get them in between 2 and 3 weeks. So he could get at least 2 deliveries a week if he wanted, right? He could order one, wait 2 weeks, order another one. So he could get it twice. So think about that. How scarce is the item where I'm waiting a month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, or is it something I can get every week or on 2 days notice? So average number of sales per month, divide that by the number of deliveries that you have in a month. And then here's my secret sauce. I add in a safety amount, maybe 1 extra, right? 1 or 2 extra. It's a safety amount. It says, just in case I have that little bit of run, I'm going to add an extra case or an extra tire or something in that effect. If I put the formula to his tires, it would look more like this. He's selling about 5 or so a month. He gets 2 deliveries in a month on average because it takes about 2 weeks. Then maybe add in 1. 5 divided by 2 plus 1. He should have 3 or 4 on hand. Yeah, he should have about $12,000 to $15,000 worth of inventory on his shelves, not 50. That's what, 35,000? 35,000 extra dollars. Guess where that money goes? It stays in the company, it stays in his pocket, and he has the right size amount of inventory. So use the items on hand formula for each one of yours to try to figure out how much you should be carrying, and then keep that extra cash in your pocket. Okay, we'll try it again. Number 4, practice active pricing, right? You're gonna say, what's practice active pricing? Well, and I've got a little picture there of an espresso machine, because there is a company, I lived in Seattle for 8 years. There's a company in Seattle, based in Seattle, that is the best in the world I've ever seen at practicing active pricing. What does that mean? That means that they're constantly, working with their pricing to get the most out of their customers without driving their customers off. What I'm talking about is the price elasticity of demand, right? And if you remember from school, that is raise your price until demand starts to come down, and where the two intersect, that's exactly your perfect price, right? It's where your price is neither elastic or inelastic. It's in the middle. It's supposed to be exactly where it is, where price is not, price and demand meet. Here's what I'm talking about. And the company I'm talking about is Starbucks. That's why I put the coffee up there. Does anybody know what anything costs at Starbucks? I can't tell you what one thing costs. I can tell you, it might be 3, might be 4, might be 5. I can tell you about, but I can't tell you exactly, right? And here's how I found this out. I went across the street. We had a Starbucks right across the street from the office. I went across the street. I'm sitting there and I order a caramel macchiato. I'm talking to the barista. I want a grande caramel macchiato. He says, yes, sir, that'd be $4.57. No problem. Pay it, drink it, have a great time. 3 months later, go back. Same barista, changing up my order just a little bit. I want a grande caramel macchiato. I said it differently. That was the change. He says, yes, sir, that'd be $4.64. It was $4.57, now it's $4.64. Here's what I started doing. I started watching the menu. First of all, here's what the menu looks like. You know, see this? No prices are the same. 85, 35, 10, 15, 50, 75, 750. I mean, all of them are different in some way or another. Because what I found out is that every 3 to 4 months, they're going to add 5 to 15 cents on every single product until demand starts to drop off. Then they'll hold the price. That's what they're doing, right? They're practicing active pricing, which means that if you increase price, you're going to make more money. And that's what's happening until customers don't want to pay it anymore. So it's the greatest amount. They're finding the greatest amount that you'll pay without driving them off, without driving the customer off. Now, when I had restaurants, for the first 2.5 years, beers were $3. Right? You come in, buy a bottle of beer, it was $3. Because I held prices for 2 years straight, well, the one time I wanted to increase price by a quarter, everybody threw a fit, right? But the second time I made a quicker, less change. I went up by another 15 cents and I did it in about 4 months' time. Almost nobody noticed the difference. Didn't complain. So I'm saying a more frequent, less dramatic change, chances are you're going to be able to pass along your price increase and have or lose less customers doing it. So practice active pricing. If you can do it, if you can get by with it, you know, make your prices a little bit more frequent, your changes. And it's been said that as much as a 1% increase in gross profit, right? So a 1% increase in gross profit, I increase my price, which means it tracks down to the gross profit line, equals as much as 11% increase in net profit. Think about that. A 1% increase in gross profit can net you as much as an 11% increase in net profit. And that's what we're talking about. Okay. I think we're going to do another polling question, you know, give everybody a break.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, we are. I
Right.
cannot believe that Starbucks is doing that to me, and I don't even know it.
Nobody complains, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's the next. Here's our next polling question. Here we go. How sensitive do you think pricing is in your or your client's business in general? Do you lose clients every time you raise a price? Boy, that's some good. I never noticed that. Man, what you were just talking about, Mike. Kind of grumbling, just what you were talking about.
Yeah, you'll start watching it now.
I'm going to leave it open for about 30 more seconds here.
Okay. I'm interested because I think most people think that prices are sensitive.
Yeah, look at that. Customers will pay at whatever price. Wow.
Ooh, I want that business.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I'd love to hear that. So far nobody's chosen that one here. So, okay. Just leave it a couple more seconds. 5. We're getting up to a minute here. Okay, so we're gonna close this poll, and then I'll tell you what the results are. So Mike, 55% of those who voted said that they hear it from a small amount of people. You know, when they raise this. So half. Yeah. And then a 9% said that they lose clients every time that they raise prices. So.
Wow. Well, I would ask the question: if you're losing clients, are you losing the good clients or the bad clients, right? Because I think price doesn't matter in my book. That's why I teach in a lot of seminars. Price doesn't matter because there's a buyer at every price point. You know, you'll find the ones that want to pay your price and what your value is. Okay, good. And I guess I'm back. So let's talk about number 5 now. This is about your people. You got to think about your people touch your business as much or more than you do a lot of times. If you have employees, they're always touching something that affects cash flow. But here's the thing, cash flow doesn't mean the same thing to them as it does you. Remember, their bank account isn't attached directly to your cash flow. They just assume you're going to pay their salaries or pay their hourly wage. But here's what they're thinking about, right? How honest you are. Do they have confidence in you as an operator? And I want you to start thinking that way. You know, I want you to make the transition from operator to owner, right? And there's a big difference between operator and owner on how you work your business. So, but do you have confidence? They want to feel secure that they're going to be, you know, having a job the next day. You know, they're loyal to you, and people love to win, right? So I like to be more transparent with people and give them incentives to do the things that I need them to do. You know, and each employee might touch things differently. They might have somebody that is in charge of collections, where you take, hey, on average, I collect in 50 days or 45 days or whatever your number is. Each time that they can break that, or you put it on specific customers, hey, you know, Joe's Plumbing always pays us 60 days. Every time he pays under 50 days, I'll give you a Starbucks gift card. The incentive doesn't have to be huge. You don't have to make an overt gesture, or we'll take you out to dinner, or take you out to pizza. Right? It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is recognize that they've done something to help you improve your cash flow, and you're rewarding them with something or another. That's why you'll see a lot of over-the-counter sales happen. You know, I was in a college bookstore just recently, and they were introducing this product called Bartleby. Bartleby is a subscription service, and that's one of the reasons I've been talking about it. That does kind of tutoring or does extra coaching for students on all the classes that they're taking. It's like $9 a month. Well, nobody's walking through the bookstore buying a Bartleby subscription, but when it's offered over the counter, like going, hey, for $9 a month, you can get all this extra material and actually get more in-depth education or training on the subjects that you're already learning. Would you like to do that? And believe it or not, about 30% of the people are actually buying this Bartleby subscription. So sometimes just asking your people to do that, and they get an incentive, we'll say $2 or $5 or whatever it is, but it increases their hourly rate. It's not a huge out-of-pocket cost for the company, but it is a big boost to the hourly wage of the employee that makes the question. So find how they touch, find each employee, find how they touch your cash flow, paying, collecting, talking to the customer, keeping them from churning or, you know, being a repeat customer. Find a way to incentivize them to do the right things and keep those numbers high. Incentivize the execution. So while I'm talking about employees, the next one is super important, right? This is where most of your money is going to leak out of your company. When I talk about cash leaks, I'm going to show you a couple of pictures here, and you tell me what it is. First of all, right size your team. Here's a picture of a company that's performing valet services. What do we see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 valets, 0 cars, right? What does that tell you? In my mind, my meter is running, right? 7 people's salaries going out there. I don't care what the hourly wage is, it's still meter is running. Is that the right amount of people to have for your valet service? Or we've all been part of this. See, you're at the grocery store, there's 50 people in line, they have 1 line open or 2 lines open. Believe it or not, that can also hurt your cash flow. Why? Because if you're like me, and I've seen other people do it, I'll walk in, see the lines, like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that, and maybe I'll go out and come back later. Or I've actually put baskets aside and walked out because I didn't want to wait in the line. I'll come back later. So it hurts your cash flow by actually creating an inconvenient experience for your customer. Right sizing your team can help both of these, where cash flow per hour is improved and the customer experience is better, which also improves cash flow, where I don't put away my basket. So how do I know? I'm going to give you 2 formulas. Not both of them will work for you, but one of them might. Here's 2 formulas to right size your team. The first one is the utilization rate formula, which is When I had a service-based company, I had some times where the people were working on a project that was generating revenue, and I had other times where they were working, I was paying them, but they weren't working for a revenue generating customer, such as they had paid vacation or paid time off, or they had training, or they had other administrative things that they had to do, like cleaning out the truck or otherwise. They had what I call administrative time versus productive time. My goal was to always have a team that had 75% of its time on productive revenue generating activities. Here's how I come up with that. There's 2,080 hours in a week, or I'm sorry, in a year, 2,080 hours in a year. I would always budget for them 1,800 hours, which is about 75, 80%. But at 75% was my cutoff, my trigger. If I calculated up all their hours and I only made one distinction, was it revenue generating or was it administrative? When my team was under 75%, that means I reduced the team, cut back on people's hours or cut back on staff. When my team was over 75%, that's the time when they start to be working too hard. You get them up to 90% of the time they're working on revenue generating activities, a lot of times you're going to burn them out and maybe you need to add. So a good balance of keeping your employees happy and keeping your wallet safe is about 75% of the time on revenue generating activities. So that's the utilization rate. The next one is revenue per hour. The best company I've seen do this in the world is Dairy Queen. Inside their POS, not only is the sales that are being generated per hour, but also every employee clocks in. So now you're seeing how much do I have in employee expense and how much am I generating in revenue. They have a revenue per hour. And let's just pretend that that number is $100 per hour. They have the right number of employees, say it's 3 at $100 per hour. They're pretty happy there. What happens when that revenue per hour drops down to $75 an hour? Well, the manager knows to send somebody home. That's what you have to do is, what is my goal? What's my target? You've got the revenue that's coming in divided by the number of employees that are out, gives you a revenue per hour per employee. When your revenue per hour is lower than what your goal is, then reduce your staff, send somebody home. When it's higher, again, they're working too hard. They're producing more revenue. You can get out of it, you know what you can, but you also might burn your employees out. A good balance is defined an average revenue per hour that you're used to, that your company works great at. And when you're lower than that number, reduce your staff. When you're higher than that number, increase your staff. Those are two methods that you can do to right size your team on any given basis. And you can do this hourly, you can do it weekly, you can do it monthly. But just the basic point is go do it. Here's 2 ways to do it. Okay, number 7, we are on the home stretch. Number 7, correct your financing errors. Now, if you've heard me talk, this is the silent killer of businesses. It's called misfinancing, right? Misfinancing is where you buy an asset that you can depreciate and you use the wrong loan product, like your line of credit or your credit card, right? It's just like this. It's like you buy a house on a credit card. You wouldn't do that, right? You just wouldn't do it because average credit card interest rates, 15 to 20%. Home mortgage is around, 3, 4%, maybe 5. The big difference is it's a silent killer of businesses' cash flow because it sucks it out in the form of interest, higher interest payments. We're just writing a check. We're not really paying attention to that. So here's how you avoid financing errors. Make sure you're following this rule. The length of the loan should match the life of the asset. That's right. The length of the loan should match the life of the asset. If I can depreciate something for 3 to 5 years, I finance it with a 3 to 5 year term loan, right? That's basically what we're talking about is match those two up, and you'll always finance your goods correctly if you're not paying cash, of course, if you're going to use a loan product. So that's called misfinancing, and make sure your length of the loan matches the life of the asset. All right, number 8. And number 8 is don't store it, sell it. Now, first of all, the only reason to have an asset, the only reason to have stuff is to generate revenue and profit. Right? Don't buy anything unless that's what you're going to do. Whether it's a training table to increase the productivity of your team or a piece of equipment that's going to make more product. Don't buy anything unless you're going to generate revenue or profit with it. But also don't have a warehouse that looks like this, right? That's an actual company that I consulted with last year. right there. You see it? Some of that stuff's got to go. You've got to get it off your balance sheet. Those were mostly on the balance sheet, and it's just junk, right? In this case, it was just junk. He needs to get rid of it, donate it, clearance it, sell it to another repair company. This is a computer repair company. Do something to get it off your balance sheet because it makes your balance sheet look distorted, like you have more assets than you do. Now, having too much stuff like this also has a carrying cost. There's a carrying cost associated where the hidden operation costs are built into your P&L because you have to touch it, you have to move it, you have to store it, you got to reorder it, you got to do all these things. So there's a hidden cost associated with having too much inventory. The right size inventory gives you the right size cost. Too much, you have to work around it. So how do you know if inventory is too old? And I'll tell you, first of all, in this company, I found 5 boxes, right? 5 boxes, and they were about 1 foot by 1 foot by 6 inches high. So think 1 foot by 1 foot by 6 inches high. What do you think was in there? The large floppy disk. Last year, 2019, large floppy disk. Who's using those? Yeah, nobody. How did I know it was too old? Because I did the dust test. I just blew on it. Yeah, nobody's using these types of materials. Get them gone. How do you get rid of old floppy disks that nobody's going to buy? What we did is we donated it to the Civic Arts Center. Kids were making collages out of it, mobiles, those type of things. There's ways to do this, and you can write it off of your balance sheet and actually take the expense for it. Get it going. It doesn't help you to store it. Sell it, get rid of it. You know, there's big companies out there that have markdown strategies. They'll say, hey, if something doesn't sell in 60 days, then we go to 75%. In 90 days, we go to 50%. You can have a markdown strategy, employ it, and move your inventory much faster. So don't store it, make sure you're selling it. All right, the last two. You got number 9. And number 9 is do not break this rule, right? You will kill your company. Your company will die if you violate this rule. And it's my expense control rule, which is the change in operating expense should mirror the change in gross profit. Let me say it a little bit simply. Gross profit is the amount of money you have to spend. Operating expense is the way you spend it. If you have less money to spend, you should spend less money, right? It's that simple. Think about it in your personal life. If you took a $2,000 a month pay cut, something would have to change. Even if you could cover your bills still, you're not putting as much in your IRAs or in your savings account. Something has to change. It's the same way in your business. So if gross profit is the money that's coming in and you have less of it, you have to change the way you spend it. And that's the formula on understanding how much you have to cut. So in this case, you've got gross profit. As long as my gross profit line is above operating expense, I'm making money. But as soon as it dips the other way, where gross profit is now less than operating expense, where the green line is less than the red line, I'm losing money. So what's the move? If I'm a manager in this firm, I only have one move, and that's to cut operating expense and bring back profitability. This is where you see companies like Pfizer say, I'm going to lay off 7,000 jobs. Well, how'd they come up with 7,000 jobs? Well, the amount of dollars in gross profit came down about the same amount as 7,000 jobs worth, right? So the amount of gross profit and the amount of operating expense have to mirror each other. So if I'm down 7,000 jobs in gross profit, I need 7,000 jobs to go away. Then I can restore profitability to the firm, because the role of the manager in the firm is to ensure or maximize shareholder value. That's what we're trying to do. So here's the rule again. The gross profit and operating expense should move together. It's okay to increase operating expense as long as you're also increasing gross profit. And you can see that. So there's a rule. Don't break it. Last one. And the reason I say this one for last is because you should fix everything else in the company before you do this. But this is just to motivate you out the door at the end of this webinar, right? It's number 10. And I normally don't give people this advice, but I did this time because we're assuming you fixed all these other things. But at the end of the day, grow, grow, grow. Go sell. You want more money? Go sell something. Right? But that's the last thing I'm going to tell somebody. Now, if you need motivation, if you want to look somewhere in the world for motivation, I've selected 4 movies for you. First one is The Wolf of Wall Street, right? Go listen to how they motivate and they're ready to go sell anything. Don't do it like he did, of course, but get motivated about the sales process. If that one's not your style, how about Glengarry Glen Ross, right? Coffees for closers. Go out there and sell something. Or you could look at The Boiler Room, right? With Vin Diesel, and of course Giovanni Ribisi. You can go out there and look at the boiler room and see how much effort these guys are putting in. Lastly, one of my favorite sales movies, of course, is Tommy Boy. Ooh, that's gonna leave a mark. But yeah, so any one of these, and what I'm really saying to you is that make sure that you're finding all the other hidden cash opportunities inside your company. And when you're ready to scale, you're ready to improve your top line, then grow, right? And then grow. So I think before I give a recap, we got our last polling question now.
We sure do. And the question is, what is your favorite sales movie quote? Okay, so people don't buy stock, it gets sold to them. Don't forget. Always be closing. Good. Money can't buy happiness. And that's going to leave a mark. Okay, let's see what people have to start voting. Which are their favorite? I know you've got one probably, Mike, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to see. So we're going to leave it open for just about half a minute more. People are still voting their favorite sale. This takes a little thought here. You got to read through each one and see how it pertains. Yeah, so
I thought it'd be fun. I thought it'd be fun to go this way with it, instead of always having some other, have a little fun with the Sure. Okay, we got about 15 seconds left. We're just leaving this open for. Remember, you got it. You have to do this poll, answer this poll for the CPE credit. So just want a reminder about that one. We got about. Okay, we're at a minute, so I'm gonna close this poll, and we're gonna go through the. We can talk about what people said. So the one that got the most, 40%, that's going to leave a mark. That's their favorite. That's going to leave a mark. And then in order, then 30% the ABC, 20% people don't buy stock. It gets sold to, I don't know what was the end of that one? People don't buy stock. It gets sold to, hold on a second. It gets sold to them.
Oh, okay, got it. And then the 10% money can't buy happiness. Look at the smile on my face. So.
Yeah, so that tells me that the audience's favorite movie is in Tommy Boy.
I've never even heard of it before. I've never even heard of that one, but that's going to be. I'm going to look for that one on Netflix, Mike.
There you go.
And watch.
There you go. And it's funny, of course. So, all right. So let's kind of wrap up. And I think now that you've done the polling questions and we've hit that 50-minute mark, we're actually qualified, right? We've not qualified. So let me just kind of go through this. If you didn't take notes or you wanted to take them now, leverage that buying psychology. Make sure you bundle, carry the right amount of inventory. Do the Starbucks method of pricing. Make sure you're incentivizing your employees and you have the right amount of employees. Don't forget when you buy something to use the right loan product, and don't just store things, right? You don't need a warehouse. This isn't an episode of Hoarders. This is a business. And then don't break the rule. And the rule for expense control is the change in operating expense should mirror the change in gross profit. And don't forget to grow. Go sell something. So, hey, Ellen, if they want to hear more about me or anything, I do have a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio. It doesn't matter where you go. I'm in the directory. Just look for the Clear Path to Cash. That's my signature training course. I also have a YouTube channel out there. Just look for Cashflow Mike. I have enjoyed it. I love doing things with out-of-the-box technology. So, Ellen, I'm going to turn it back to you for any closing remarks.
Great. Yeah, please do. Please do. I'm going to take over presenting here. So I'll take over the screen. So does anybody have any questions for Mike? He is here. We got a few more minutes here. So if you have any questions, boy, I loved all of these ideas. And some of them, and I'm not even the owner of a business, and I thought they were awesome things to really.
Well, I was looking for different things, right? Things we're not thinking about on a regular basis.
Exactly. So if you guys don't have any questions right at this particular point, I mean, you can always email us. Jennifer will be sending out a follow-up email on everything here. So we'll be doing that as well. And then our next, don't forget about this one. We have some QuickBooks online training that's actually happening. It's happening in our Portland office. you can sit in on the classroom there, or we also have virtual training for this. It's a QBO 2-day seminar. So there's information. And it's on QuickBooks Online. So you can go to our website, outoftheboxtechnology.com, to find out more about that. So just want to remind you about that. So thanks, Mike. It was really awesome. We appreciate you joining us. It was great info, and I think we're done for additional technology Tuesdays. And as always, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, Mike, and thanks everybody for joining. We sure appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Mike.